Hello, scholars. So let's talk a little bit about this next speech and what we'll be doing. So you have overwhelmingly asked that we work with the application sales presentation with the notable exception of only one of you. I'm sorry that we didn't go that way for the one, and I won't identify you. But we can talk more about doing that later on in the semester when I get to that next project. Anyways, we are going to attempt to convince our classmates to download an application on their phones that will better their lives, or better the lives of a community of people that we can sympathize with. And I'll get a little bit further into that as we go. And this next week, we'll talk about patterns of organization and how to start setting up like what should be first and what should be second, and how we lead from a problem into a specific solution solved by this particular application. But for today, we're really just thinking about what we should pick for this final speech. Now, we need to think a lot about audience, of course. You've got an audience of college students at Bristol Community College, and we need to consider what do they need in their lives, what are they willing to do, right? And oftentimes we find that as college students, we're not willing to spend a lot of money because simply you just don't have a lot of it. And you're not willing to put in a huge time commitment because you don't have a ton of extra time. You're college students, a lot of you have families, you've got work, you have active social lives, you perhaps are a very avid online gamer and you feel you need to put some time into that simply because it helps you to de-stress throughout the day. So we need to think about very realistic applications that help us improve something, right? Which seems vague at first, but it'll be more specific as we get into it. So let's start here. Now, this is not an application that will help you with your personal life. This is an application to help solve a problem out in the world. The Sandbox app is an app that I actually use myself. The app is used to type letters to our young men and women who are overseas, fighting and stationed in the military. The app itself is pretty simple. You download it to your phone, and in your spare time, you can send notes to soldiers. Since it's electronic, it's actually kind of a neat way to set things up. It's easy for you to embed photographs in it. It's easy for you to put video into it. I often type about what my dog and I have been doing throughout the day, and uh, when I do that, I can put up a picture from that day of what the dog and I were up to. So, for instance, the other day we were out at Goddard State Park near Warwick, Rhode Island, and Willow was chasing geese. So I was able to put a picture of Willow chasing geese in there. You can come back to writing your letter from time to time, and you can do this anywhere since it's on your phone. Now, it doesn't send an electronic message to these people. Sandbox actually prints off the letter and then sends it for you, which is really cool. So it solves a problem that we know people have. We sympathize with this. Many of us have friends, family, loved ones that have gone overseas and uh, well, represented the United States of America through our military services. My brother was in Afghanistan for 16 months during the Iraq War. Some of you maybe have done your own tours. I actually don't think we've talked much about that, but odds are very good that at least one of you is a veteran. So Sandbox app is a great thing we can download. We can also download things to help people improve their own lives. My wife uses this particular app, the Sleep Cycle Alarm Clock. What this app does is it uses the gyroscope in your phone. So that's the thing in your phone that measures, like that tells which way it's facing. So people use it to play certain games, or you can use driving games. You turn the phone left and right. But this particular app, you set the phone next to you or underneath of your pillow while you're sleeping, and it measures how much you move, and it listens to how much noise you make, and determines what cycle of sleep you're in. So are you in a very light cycle of sleep, or are you in a really, really deep cycle? And in the morning, when your alarm goes off and you're in your deepest sleep cycle and you wake up, you feel very, very groggy, right? But when you wake up naturally without the alarm clock, it generally means that you're in a light sleep cycle. This is what actually happens to me, but my wife unfortunately does not have that particular talent. So she's downloaded this app, and she tells it what time she would like to be awake, And then she is able to wake up within 45 minutes of that time because the app determines when she's at her when she's at her lightest sleep cycle and wakes her up. So it's solving an issue that where she used to wake up very groggy and now it's not as big of a deal for her. And there's a picture there off the side of just me and my dog Willow sitting here on our bed turned to the I don't know, I put that in there because I thought the dog looked cute. Leave me alone. This application is called Flush. I don't actually have this downloaded, but I'm thinking about it. Um, it's an application very much predicated on practicality. It shows you where the closest free toilet is. And this is nice for road trips or when you're traveling around places that you're unfamiliar with, because we all know or we've traveled with people and you know that like when nature calls, sometimes it calls pretty hard, pretty quick, pretty fast. Had too much coffee that morning, you drank too much juice, and well, I gotta pee. So Flush takes you to the nearest public restroom or the nearest accessible restroom. And that's actually kind of a neat thing. And then the fourth and final app I'm going to show you real quick here is another one that I've just downloaded and I'm hoping to get working with it. It's called Be My Eyes. And this is a really cool app that people who are blind or have low visual acuity use. And they take pictures of items, so like food or clothing, and send out a question to the app saying, hey, is this expired or when is it expiring or what instructions do I need to do to cook this? And somebody sees the picture, myself or yourself, and quickly responds and says, well, that jug of milk expires in 1 week, so you better use it very quickly. Or, hey, if you want to make that recipe, be sure you pick up this other thing because this is what the recipe is asking for. Or it says that you should cook it for 3 minutes on high in your microwave. So it's actually a really helpful thing for people that are unable to see very carefully what they have in their hands or to see at all. I can envision a couple of people in my family using this. My great grandfather, he cannot see out of the center of his eyes. He has very low visual acuity out of that. Other than it's starting to expand out, but he can't hold it. Like he knows how to work his phone, and he could hold it up and take pictures of things. And this is something that any of you could use. Now, you don't have to use any of these apps, but you're also very welcome to use any of these for. What you decide to use for yourself is entirely up to you. I would like you though to pick something that you think you would use, and something that you believe in enough that you would like to convince other people to try and use it. Because when we do that, when we approach it in that way, you're more likely to show a little bit of passion when you're talking about it. If you have your own personal experiences with the application, certainly you're going to be able to talk to us with much more authority, more credibility. And honestly, you're probably going to have more fun with it when you're sharing something that you care about. So this week I want you to find one, maybe two apps. I want you to post up onto our discussion board. There's some questions there that you can take a look at. So what are the apps? What do they do? Have we heard of these things before? And you can see the questions when you go and look at that. Let's get that done Friday night. We'll get a couple responses in Sunday evening. And then we'll be good to go this next week when we start thinking about how to organize this particular presentation. All right, folks. I'll see you online soon, and I hope you have a great week.